I was watching something on the revenue of a certain market and dealing with social economics, and they were speaking about new foundations and making certain things wonderful for the new generations of upcoming. But you have other individuals that a certain type of way when it comes to the physical reality and when it comes to the natural money and the natural income of the. Central American countries. I just let you hear it. You don't got to. The problem before it gets to our border.
Well, certainly, the best form of protection is prevention. And when it comes to terrorism, the refugee problems that my bureau is focused on most intently involve Syria, which we've already discussed. Also,
because they're speaking about economic trading, so they're making sure they can secure for their economic trading for the future social economics. So it's just serious about a situation, and then I'm thinking about something because if a person is running a corporation, right, and then say a company or corporate, say like for instance a company. Now a person has a company, they have departments in the company that you know that accumulate natural value revenue for each department for individuals could be able to have a social current acknowledgement for one's indulgement in future marketing. Now, if you have an individual, in like say you have the president of the you have the you have the you have one CEO, but depending on the type of company, it is also because some people corporations or companies are different. So say for instance you have say the president of a company, right? Then you have different departments. You have individuals that hire individuals. You have individuals that naturally keep the structure in precise instruction. You have individuals that make sure the current acknowledgement for the different departments are naturally um, kept in order even at a time for the physical reality. You have different reasons. So now you have to make sure when you have a corporation you have to have comfortability for individuals. Like I said, when I was listening to things, I was thinking and speaking to myself. I was like, you have to travel. A person has reasons to travel. I like to travel. But you have other individuals that you never know what goes on in another person's private life. I'm a person, I like high views of acknowledgement of the real reason of structure and of the love of the value for the future currency of to make sure it always maintains the natural revenue of the for the future social economic for the growth or for the structure of one's natural habitation so one could be able to have endurance for the next day. So, that's just the type of person I am. So if I go somewhere on a form of a vacation, it's something delightful. So I could always be able to have my mind in a precise, uplifting habitation. So as the next day could be more wonderful. Now, but if you have individuals, say you have somebody that's working for the company that does natural, how can I say this? Funding. You have somebody that works in the department that does natural funding or goes out to look for certain sponsor for funding for future marketing for individuals. How can I say? It's like a new pick me. It's like a pick me up for the company. It makes the company feel good. It makes the company feel real out. Real achieve to achieve to achieve value for the future revenue, for the structure, or for the other social economics. So this way, when it's making money for the future, is the individuals will always have an open hand, or they have a form of attribute when it comes to the structure of the company that individuals are running for the natural value, for the quality of even one's state or company or a country even at the time. Depending on the type of marketing and depending on the type of market the trading one's into at the time, or depending on it's not really trading. It's depending on one's natural acknowledgement to the future currency of one's natural receptive or revenue of existence. So it is a difference in the physical reality. So now if you have an individual in life, say like I said, they work a certain department for the natural order to make sure that the company is always maintaining the natural growth and has open hands, or for individuals that always could keep, if something happens, they always could have a point of saying, oh, I know this, that, and the other. I can make sure this is a situation. So there's never no complication for anybody in the future structure where they never missing out, and everything can it could evolve on a higher level. It'll never be in a form of a famishing, like a person feel like they don't have a person. Nobody would ever feel like that. So so usually, say if for instance somebody, they other people might be working in a low department or something, or a high department, or a certain mid department or something, and then they say, yo, listen, man, they like to go on vacation, like a place of they could go. Some people like going to exotic places. Some people like going to the islands. Some people like going to some people could probably want to go to Portuguese. Some people could probably want to, some people probably want to go to how what would be an interesting a place for a person to travel to, a person who want to travel to, like you know you never know, because some people, like, some people actually be in relationships. So the relationship that they're in, they might want to keep the relationship interest because the type of work that they do, and the venture the venture of going out there, and then keeping with one relationship, and a certain type um uh, of chemistry for the love of their relationship. It might be a little different. Say a person wants to go to, like, Portuguese. They want to go to a person might be spontaneous, because how some people have certain relationships, so they don't want their wife being indulgent with other views in life, because how you never know a person's structure of their conscience, because the way their conduct is already at home. So they might have their wife where they don't want their wife really going out there. They go, like, places Africa, where places that they can keep to themselves and stuff. Like places to Africa, or places like Australia. They go places like Australia. They have a nice little form of cottage, or whatever, whatever they feel like they like, that they're comfortable, that can keep them, you know, keep one's current love humble, for, for one's habitation of happiness, for the future consciousness, or something a certain type of way, right? But say, for instance, you have an individual in life, because my comfortability is different from another person's comfortability, and on top of it, I'm a person of the high humanity in the physical reality. So and I'm a man that always a man that always conquers, and literally always is a man. So it's a difference. So and I mean, and I'm a man that's of a real value of the physical reality. So, I'm just gonna be real. You might have, me, I'm different. I like going on places where I could actually travel. I have my own space to even view certain things. I like, my relationship is already the interest. I'm already the interest of my relationship. So, or no matter however you look at it. So it is a difference for me in the physical reality because the way probably the way I just naturally am, about a situation. So I don't really get into certain things. So another person, they might want to be adventurous. They might want to, have their girl doing certain things, and the things that keeps them motivated for the company because probably their position, if they work in the company and stuff like that. Sometimes it's good to have a new. It's just like when a person's going out looking for the new revenue, for the new structure, or for the new equality of the reasons of one's value for one's social economics for one's future, for for the for the rejuvenation of one's existence and maintaining one's reason of name of currency. So there's a difference in the physical reality. So now, if you have an individual, say for instance, they work in a certain department, and then they're doing certain things. Sometimes some people in a certain type, that's like a president of the company, a vice president, a corporation is wonderful. So a person doesn't say certain things when it comes to the reality. So a man says, sometimes having a different look or view in life, it may be different because I'm a man of a simple structure. I don't really do too much at all for anybody's acknowledgement a certain type of way. So I just know how to keep myself happy. So I don't never, indulge in too much other funny situations that causes, working for a for a company. You can't have too much, a person that's too I'm a person that has to keep to myself because I gotta make sure everything's always structured. So it's a difference for me. It's just like me. I'm a man of equality. I'm a man of elegance. I'm a man of how can I say chasmaristic realities. So is a difference. If you have another person that's more outgoing, or more more spontaneous, or more more different in the physical reality with certain things. Me, I could conduct myself in any way, but I'm a person of I think of consciousness and the reason how can I say this, the natural habitations of one's social economics. So there's a difference for me in the physical reality. So another person is, they could be, they might like a different new setting, a certain type of way at a time, depending on the comfortability and depending on the flow of the company, the way it's bringing in and accumulating value at the time. So a person says, if I'm making a wonderful current revenue for social economics of future, for the quality of one's structure, and for the reasons of one's value for uh, uh, to remain in existence, one has to know when one is making when one is sitting down working and making sure the currency is in natural cycles of fluctuation to continue the value of accumulating the reality of one's existence. One has to make sure that it's like going to work. You don't want somebody, this is why when you give a person time from work and then you are in a certain position, you give them a certain time uh, to make sure that they keep themselves in order. So when they catching their plane to come back, they're not late that morning, and then they get to work, and then a person having a major business deal, and then next thing you know, a person says, "Hey, where's this guy at? We're supposed to be. We're gonna sit down with him, so he has to be there because this department so and so, and the person's viewing the department to know how exactly how the situation is gonna be maintained a certain type of way. So where's the person at? And then a person's uh, they somewhere in catching a plane because they overslept, like they overslept, or there was some type of storm for some reason, and then all type of situations happen, and then an individual had to rush. The plane was you don't want the plane to be delayed, and then next thing you know, and then all type of situations happen, and there's the excuse, and then one has to make sure one can't manipulate the reason of one's current value for the quality of a company, because one want to make sure it's just like honoring the reason of having one's revenue. So you don't want an individual to look at an individual. Oh, look at this. This is supposed to be a certain type of way, and then it doesn't have some. It is not even prepared and facilitate, and then we make in future. And a person, you'll never know. Another person may travel even further from another person just to be able to have a point of existence for one's admiration, to even keep the company even in natural social economics, and then certain things happen. If certain things happen, it doesn't make no sense. So one has to make sure that one's never missing, or one is natural conducting. It is of a one's happy habitation for one's value of existing conditions. For real. But if you have an individual in life that is just like they're doing other things, and certain things happen a certain type of way. What was the situation? See, I'm a person. I always have money. I live a real simple life. So my wife already knows like a certain type of thing, and I'm a man, and I always have more than one wife also. So my wife already knows what's going on with me, and if I have any other relationships, my wife already knows what's already going on, and I don't really indulge to even think about the reason what's going on in my other relationship. It's a difference to another individual, because another individual's natural, um, you know, ex- um, humane humane emotions might be different from another person. So they might be more certification when it comes to reality. It might be a little different for another individual. So a person has to remember the reason of their own habitation. So a man says it's okay, depending on how they may view the situation at the time. Sometimes even a man of the higher quality, it wants another new point of view for the reason of the new structure, social structure for future revenue. But some people, I'm the type of person, I make sure I have secure money. I don't have all type of or funny situations. So my money is always secure. But if you have individuals even at a times, because remember the different departments, so they call for different revenues even at a time. So an individual might have to have a certain type of current condition that might need a certain type of acknowledgement, and one wants to make sure one always has future quality of value for the reasons of existence. So one looks and says, me, I'm a man. Like I said, I'm a man of elegance. I'm gonna be real. I'm a man. I'm a real man, and I'm a man of real elegance. I'm a man of equality. I'm a man of excellence. I'm a man of the the reason for the edifying of the clarity of continuing and always having value to have a a foundation of the reason of an honor of dignity for the company or corporation always has its existence, because I'll be okay no matter what the situation is, even if I wasn't with the corporation or company, literally. So I'm already, before I even even before I start working for a company or corporation. That's how I already am. So another individual may be a little different for me in the physical reality, because I I I'm anyway. I don't really get into it like that. So I'm just being real. Now you see, my even when I'm conducting uh, a form of social economics for one's natural habitation, to keep the quality of the real value of the revenue to being always in a high currency. So it's a difference for me in the physical reality. Now, if you have an individual that is, that's just thinking about the I'm a man. I make sure situations are certain ways so there's no excuses. You have another individual, when they're doing business, they have a vindictive mind, or that usually when things like that are happening is depending on the marketing, depending on the type of marketing within the company, because when one looks at one's assets, it's a difference. So it depends on at the time, or whatever what's going on. Because sometimes you could do things within the season, depending on the type of company you have, and certain other things. But sometimes it's a little different in the when it comes to the overall reason of the natural currency. So, but is a difference in the physical reality. But if you have an individual that's just making the reason when they work in the department is, you don't want them to always be looking for vindictive money, or how can I say this? Usually I make sure certain situations are certain ways, but you don't want a person always looking for vindictive money, or a person that's looking for, you know, social bargaining, or social, how can I say this, for one to really have a edifying point. If you work in the market, you don't want one to have a stabilized currency a certain type of way, because you don't want to always be dependent on one type of foundation a certain type of way. So one has to make sure, one has a natural flow in an overall of one's depiction on how they want to bring in the natural value for the natural revenue for the currency for the social economic structure for the future, so everybody's pockets could always be okay. So there's a difference for the physical reality. So an individual has to know how they would be really conducting and the things that they would need a certain type of way. But some people want different outlets. But that's why sometimes when you have a company, you make sure that the setting of the company for an individual is it is happy, and it is always in agreement with all social economic structures of one's higher quality, of one's elegance, without being causing any endeavors or vindictiveness, or that will cause individuals of natural forms of that stabilizations even within their household, when it causes uncomfortability for their own revenue of the reason of their quality. You see, like me, you see, like I see when I go home from work, I'm a man. I have high tolerance, it depending on how you look at the situation. You have other individuals that that may be a little different. Like other people might have it be in a certain type of condition where even when in their own environment, their girl, might be if they have some type of foundation set and if something changes, their girl might be she might be extremely sensitive when it comes to raising the family because depending on how many kids they have or whatever when it comes to the reason of one's natural banking, one's natural nourishment, one's natural existence of the physical reality because habitation is different when it comes to certain people, but some people when they have a natural existence of the physical reality, you don't want somebody to end up a certain type of way and then there be a change in their life and then they wonder what was the change about in the physical reality when one makes sure one structure is always on a precise foundation because an individual at time because an individual could be sensitive to the things that go on within their household. Like a man's wife could be extremely sensitive to the natural currency because you never know what if a man's wife has a man might just love his wife so much that she has a guy always in the guy's pockets making sure everything is okay because she knows the a person is very venturous in the physical reality and then and there's all type of situations so a person has to make sure that their foundation is built on a natural real order for current conditions and structure for one's could be able to survive for the future equality of the reason of the social economics for individuals of enlightenment even one's state, city, state, or country even at the time. So you have to have a different type of view when it comes to the physical reality, depending on on the reasons of one's social economic structure. But if you have individuals that's lackadaisical that doesn't care, then that's something different. But you can't have a person that's vindictive that doesn't even already have the high quality of the existence of the reason of the social structure. And if you have one somewhere that already naturally has the high quality of the reasons of the social structure, you can't let somebody deter that type of reality even at any time because another person is already if they do something like that, it causes uncomfortability in one's habitation even at a time. One may not acknowledge it, but the reality is reality. The one doesn't want to wait till the last point, a last minute. It's like if you go shopping, you make sure you get everything that you need for yourself. You don't want to get to your door at the last minute. Oh, I can't go inside. I gotta go right back. Who gets it? It don't make no sense. A person, it might sometimes it might not be a burden for another person, but sometimes it might cause a burden at a point of time where the person wouldn't believe, and then one doesn't want to get caught up in that type of situation because one might have a natural structured reality for a certain type of situation. So depending on how one looks at the natural value of one's base for the revenue. So but hey man, in life there's only one type of value in revenue for one in existence. So it is making sure the currency is always coming in for future equality. So it has nothing to do with certain other things because one says it's just like if one it's just like what I was listening to with these individuals speaking. They were speaking about doing future marketing, but safe after safe structures, and then they scared of the natural terrorism that's going on. One can't already have a conscious mind frame when it comes to social terrorism and in causing a certain type of situation because an individual in life is all about equality and uplifting of one's reason of natural value. So if one is always talking about, oh, this and other, this a person has to regard the real reason of a person causing a terrorist act, because what type of marketing or what type of currency are they bringing in at the time? So one has to really think about certain things like this even at time, because if one decides to make a certain currency or to bring in certain currencies at certain times, one shouldn't be feeling the uncomfortability of the physical reality. One should already know how to already naturally handle the situation. If there's something else different, that means one's comfortability is different. That means a person, they might be sensitive to the physical reality, what's happening, depending on their natural family, because one's thinking about their one's security and safety, even at the time, for their natural habitation and of their comfort, and the reasons of them even bringing in the social economic currency. So if an individual is sensitive to the physical reality that causes a certain type of reaction, a certain times or at a time, especially if one has a natural value base, is a difference. Because if an individual has a value base and they're sensitive to the things, the way they keep their structure for the natural settlement, so it won't cause any, and I'm gonna say this in a certain type of way, cause any certain type of solicitation. One really one has to think about situations in the physical reality, because one has to be comfortable even doing traveling for one's physical reality. Because if one is naturally doing something, one is already making sure one's regardment and secureness of the value that's coming in, even for the company, has to make sure is regarded for even social economic equality for the future. But I don't have nothing else to say. Depending on how anybody else looks at the view when it comes to natural structure for one's social economics. So social economics is wonderful. Sometimes certain places are for reasons. Sometimes certain things are different. And it's all on one's intent or one's view of the natural conduct, even of the physical reality, because somebody might want something new a certain type of way, and one has to let it be known. Sometimes a person, when you're conducting a natural reality, you have to know what is needed a certain type of way. Sometimes it's wonderful to have a good view, a wonderful view of the high existence at a point in time for a moment of time. Another person may look at it a little different, depending, or it may be the natural current condition of one's natural current that one's needs for one's value. But hey, all I say is everybody is different in a certain type of way in life, and I'm a man that's very dependent on making sure that any social economic structure, and when I mean dependent, I mean and I'm being real, and when a person's really speaking or looking or looked upon even at a time, in whichever way you want to look at it. But you know, I'm just gonna say this. I'm a person that's naturally dependent on myself. So it is a different for another person. Might be a little different from me, and I don't really care to even get into stuff like that a certain type of way, because depending on their natural existence of the type of equality they accumulate at a time. So but anyway, I'll speak about it another time. I just wanted to know if anybody else probably out there felt another type of way about something, but I don't really indulge in certain things at the time because of it. Right now, I'm in a place of uh, gratitude for the real existence of reality, for one's natural habitation, for one could be able to, when one enters one's habitation, one could be able to do whatever one needs to do and however one's conducting or the way I look at it or whichever way I feel that certain things should be. But, I'm just going to be real. Right now, my mind is setting on the comfortability of my human condition and of the reason of one's intellect. So I don't really, I'm not really looking at anything else right now. So right now I'm gonna go nourish myself. I'm gonna watch a little something, a little television, and then if I feel like speaking about something later on my own private time, we'll see.
I'll let salad start that.
Are the Eagles done?
I think the Eagles are done. And it pains me to say that because that's tonight and
What, a contractor?
You're losing out into this marriage.
That's not right.
I got orders.
Oh, you see how it's supposed to be? That's not happening. So, but another type of way, wonderful times. But that, nah. Sometimes in life, one has to make sure of one's ignorance can't be a certain type of way because one natural endeavors at a time. So it's a difference. Anyway, I'm speaking about something else, but we'll speak another time, man. Life is always going to be a value point of wonderfulness, but sometimes another time. Anyway, I can't. We'll speak another time. It don't make no sense.
anyway, sorry.
It's okay. Truth is, I have low self-esteem issues. Went out there and treated me and my brother like crap. Right up to the day he died.
Well, I can't. You see how he just spoke? I can't even be treated like that. Something like that happens. It probably could cause the end of the world, or the end of all social economic existence. Love one.